Are you a business owner or entrepreneur who's had great success in the business world, and now you want to launch a speaking career to share your message with the world? If that's you, then listen up. 25-year speaking industry veteran Brett Ridgway has released his latest special report, 3 key things entrepreneurs must master to build a profitable speaking business. To pick up your copy, go to brettridgway.com/freebie. Welcome to the Spotlight on Speaking show with Brett Ridgway, where you'll learn the keys to building a profitable speaking business from speaking industry pros. Each week, we interview a great guest who will share his or her speaking journey, identify what their keys to success have been, and highlight some critical mistakes they've made along the way that you'll want to avoid. Be sure to visit our website at spotlightonspeaking.com. And while you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now, sit back, tune in, and get ready to meet this week's guest.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Spotlight on Speaking show with Brett Ridgway. I am your host, and I'm excited to have as my guest today, Milein Elki. Milein is the go-to shamanic channeler for writers, spiritual creatives, and enlightened entrepreneurs to experience magical moments. We're going to rewind. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Spotlight on Speaking show with Brett Ridgway. I am your host, and I'm excited to have as my guest today, Meilin Ehlke. Meilin is the go-to shamanic channeler for writers, spiritual creatives, and enlightened entrepreneurs to experience magical moments to reveal the beauty in all things, earth wisdom, universal language, and knowledge of the unending realities. As a world-renowned artist and healer, Meilin reaches a worldwide audience on her online radio show, Sacred Sound Surprises. For 4 years and over 160 episodes, Meilin confidently led hundreds of thousands to reconnect to their wisdom, allowing her audience to embody themselves fully, wake up to what is possible, and listen to their inner guidance. Meilin resides in a small village outside of Nuremberg, Germany, and having lived in the United States for 2 decades, she has been called back to her native land to activate sacred sites in the heart of Europe and beyond. Welcome, Meilin Elki, to the Spotlight on Speaking show.
Oh, thank you for inviting me, Brett. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I'm going to certainly want to dive into your online radio show in a little bit later in our talk. But obviously, the primary purpose of this show is to help aspiring speakers, learn to avoid mistakes that others have made along their journey as a speaker, and get some tips for success and all that. So let's dive into your speaking journey a little bit first, Meilin. And when did you first decide, or were you forced to decide, that you needed to get up on the stage in front of people and share your message and your wisdom with the world?
I was thinking, my brain was going like this. This is a good question. I was very silent when I was younger and a teenager, and I was nudged, I should say. So in between, really me as the being Meilin who I am, I remember I took Korean yoga classes, and afterwards they always invited us to share what we've experienced during that time. And then later, even while the others were drinking tea, to come and stand up or stand in front of the room then. And they always said, you get more energy. And that was luring me in because I love energy. I love to play with energy, if it's with my hands, if I paint, if I write, if I heal, wherever, if I touch plants. Yeah. I loved that idea to become more of who I am. And then as I developed me, yes, I had to learn to speak a little bit, when you're a student, or later I'm a landscape architect, I had to speak to different fields and ask questions to learn to understand them, and also to act a little bit as a mediator. So that was more in the professional life. And then later, when my healing came through more and more, and I lived more my shamanic side, then I wanted to go out. And that came very slowly, because at the beginning I mentioned often that I wanted to sell my art more. But after it burned during a move, something else came out. A woman, the grand shaman of the Maori or the Southern Hemisphere, said, Meilin, your voice will be the healing instrument, the main one. And I thought, oh my God, I was the quiet one. I couldn't understand. She said, it starts like a trickle, and then it will go into a rushing river. I only had the German word in my head. Now, yeah, and that happened then. So slowly, at that time, I started inviting the friends from the shamanic group to come on a phone call. At that time, we had the tele conference, right? Zoom was Babylon. Yeah. Zoom was not even out yet. Mm-hmm. And so I tried also to bring out more of who I am. So speaking, Brett, if I look at it really precisely, is really personal growth. That's how I see it. To bring me out even further, to be able to share what I'm about and what I bring for the people or for nature and the world. And then it worked with my friends. Then Facebook was getting bigger. I invited people from Facebook, and I did it in German, then in English, and said, oh my God, they like how I speak or lead the telecall. And so I thought, oh, can I add my singing? Because that became important for me. I started channeling a lot of songs, and they liked that. And I said, oh my God, I can do more. And then I started looking for a radio station, and I found something, but I didn't like it because it was taking away things that I wanted to do. It was too rigid. And then suddenly, you go and put your intention, that's very important, into a certain topic. And someone wrote me an email, and I was already in the act of deleting. And I saw, oh my God, it was an invitation to be on a radio show. And that started my whole journey, a weekly radio show. And that went out, I don't know, 200, around the globe. I think 100,000 people were listening. And I was able to do exactly what I loved. And, a little bit, and in a smaller way, a more introvert, and then slowly building up the energy. I could speak what I wanted to speak about without preparing. Maybe a word came. I could sing. I could invite people to call in, and I could do healing during the show. Or I answered questions, and it was beautiful because I could speak about topics, large consciousness topics or the global topics, but also personal, and do healings for these things. So I don't have that radio show anymore, but I did love it. I had it for 8 years. Wow. I have a podcast now. It's easier.
So you have a podcast now. So let's dive into that a little bit, because as a podcast host, I'm always interested in talking with other podcast hosts. So to you, and this is something certainly relevant to speakers because they should be getting on podcasts, but what makes a good podcast guest for you?
For me, it's important that who you are, and that you really dive into the conversation and really have something to say what I want to bring the people. I notice sometimes what I really don't like so much, if people are coming and trying to sell the audience something, and it's too obvious. Rarely, I rarely have these people, because it's all about oneness, right? So I take time to find guests. Very seldom I had guests where I didn't even have a conversation prior or knew them a little bit. When I have authors, I read their whole book before, so I have a good understanding. So it's that they open up for me to be able to read them. So if I'm able to be really present with them, and I really feel they want to be here, and I think that's very important. And it's not just, you're out there for selling something, which I see too often. on podcasts, then it's not so good. I think, and listeners feel this, isn't it? Right? They feel that in a podcast, but they also feel it when you are on the stage. If you are not true to your message and your voice and what you're speaking about and your intention, they feel it, and you're not so successful. I believe.
All right, so there's a belief or a statement in the speaking industry that if you truly believe what you have to offer others will benefit them, you're doing a disservice to them by not offering it to them in some form. How do you react to that statement?
I heard that so often. Often people are not ready. I've learned that in my work. We can't push ourselves, I believe, Brett, even as a speaker. So I come from that idea, right? We have to be our natural being. Then we are expanded, we feel light, and we build up a relationship with the audience. And really, it doesn't matter if they're sitting in front of me, if I'm talking to you now, if a listener will come and hear or watch a podcast or a video in a later date. Yeah, they can sense that if you're tight somewhere, if your voice is yet not your true voice. It's easier, I think, sometimes that people try it out and we share it and say, I'm not so experienced. People respond even then more positive to that than if you have a really washed, clean thing. Yeah, and again, are you ready to bring it out? Because I would say I have a different group. I have more the healers, very empathic people that really sense the environment that's outside or in the room. So we have to be ready to carry it, I think, and to be present. And I wish that even for all speakers, because I think a new era is starting where when we are ready, the environment is ready. And when the environment is ready for us, we are ready. So we can't push it. So even, it's a disservice, but why is it a disservice? People can come to me, people can come to you. They sense it and they find a way, if it's really important, if the interaction has to happen, it will happen. They'll find ways. I've learned that also in all these years.
So if you've listened to any of the previous episodes of the show, you probably heard me talk about three main types of speakers: keynoter, platform seller, and business building speaker. So obviously, I'm guessing you're not a fan of the platform selling speaker. Have you ever done platform selling? And
No,
of those three speaking types, which niche do you feel that you fit in, or do you have what you would call your own niche?
I would make it a new niche. So keynote speaking is very interesting and important. I did that more as a moderator at peace events or peace concerts, right? Or marches when I did these. And the other side, I would like, it's important that we share our vision and our light. And then, so the third one, oh, I forgot how you called it,
Call
right?
it a
Where
business
we
business
go,
builder speaker.
yeah, genau, a little business building. It is important. It's also the way for us to hone our craft, to find our voice that goes back also through the personal growth, and to test out how people are responding and where we have to educate ourselves a little bit more to bring with more precision that what we hear on this earth to bring to the people. I would say I like the idea of being a there's the motivational speaker, inspirational. I even would say I love to heal. So that has been my big motivator, right? It's carry that energy, but why do I want to have all that energy? To heal. So on stage, to sing or to speak or to do some hand movements and send energy out. the voice sends energy out, my presence, right? It can heal a room. It can start igniting people so they can become who they are. So being present should also be one. A dedication to humanity.
So you've done a lot of speaking, you've heard a lot of speakers. From your perspective, aside from being true to yourself, what makes a speaker a good speaker?
Speaking your own vocabulary, right? The vocabulary that fits and suits you, where I can hear out of your vocabulary the life experiences you had as a speaker without really having to say the whole time what you've done, right? The vocabulary brings it out. And then being present for the audience, for me. So this is important. I want to able to feel them, and the same as having a podcast guest, right? That they're open, that they care of standing right in front of me, because time is precious. The time of in an interaction, a relationship to relate, I believe, and that they come with their heart, and that they bring their light to the conversation. And it doesn't matter if you're then loud or you speak very softly, you know, but if you present the way how you are and function, and to bring out what you're bringing to the world, and you're true to that, and it's a purity that I can sense, that makes a fantastic speaker.
Right. So got some other ground I want to cover with you, Meilin, but let's take a quick break for a word from our sponsor.
Are you a business owner or entrepreneur who's had great success in the business world, and now you want to launch a speaking career to share your message with the world? If that's you, then listen up. 25-year speaking industry veteran Brett Ridgway has released his latest special report, 3 key things entrepreneurs must master to build a profitable speaking business. To pick up your copy, go to brettridgway.com/freebie.
And we are back with the Spotlight on Speaking show, and my guest this week is Milein Elki, all the way from Germany. So we are having international guests on the program also, which I'm excited about. So Milein, my favorite question, to always ask my guests is, okay, let's bare your soul a little bit here and share some speaking mistake that you made along your journey that maybe was embarrassing at the time, but it would be something you would highly advise aspiring speakers not to make.
Oh, okay. I remember when I went to the first trade show, and I used an exercise, was more in a workshop presentation and doing a few minutes of interactive exercise. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not mine. It didn't come out of the moment that I was creating. So I'm a person, I set an intention, what I want to speak about, what should happen, and what people should experience. So at that time, I was starting to practice that, to set that into motion. And I noticed I didn't feel right because it was not mine. And I could feel people feel it. And then I tightened up and I said, oh my God, what am I doing? I was ready to walk out of the room. And luckily I noticed, and I turned it a little bit at the end. I then became courageous out of that to sing a song, and that helped me move people into space where I wanted to get them to be in, and that in the energy for them to leave the room with. So that worked out well. But that was my last time I did that. And another thing is, right, I have cerebral palsy. When I walk, I wobble. And I was very, very scared to bring that out and go onto stage. I remember the big one was in Las Vegas in the Inspire Theater. I said, oh my God, what are people going to think? And instead of not talking about it, what I was scared about. I put it right in the first sentence, more or less. I said, in the first moment, I'll share how I am. I sang a song and then a quick poem where I said, I stand in front of you, I think something like that, in my beauty, knowing that I just wobbled onto or limped onto the stage, or that I have an accent and can't remember words sometimes, right? So I really presented them, and it took away the fear. And then I was able to read after that the audience that was there, and then the whole stories that were fitting for the audience in front of me came into this time slot, and then I was able to integrate it. Yeah, that was nerve-wracking. But I'm happy I did that, and I almost didn't. I was still standing there at the stage edge and said, oh my, no, I'm not gonna do this. And then I said, no, I have to do this because this is Meilin. I'll never have this big chance again. And I'm happy I did.
So how do you know if your message truly resonated with your audience?
How do I feel it? I feel warmth. I feel expanded. I don't feel tight. I can notice when it's not right. I feel tight unless I feel the tension in the room and I need to switch it, right? That's a little different. But I feel tight then if I'm not understood. That means I have to maybe step back a little bit or repeat something or come with a softer way of saying it and not so intense. Sometimes I'm like, a little intense. And then that switches as well at the end, because people will come to you. And I also go into a room. I said, I can touch them all, but I touch everyone on a different level. I don't touch the audience all on the same level, right? A good example I would like to use at a trade show. I hung art once and was giving healing. So some people walked a big arch around it because there was so much energy coming from these pictures. So they could take in only a certain amount. Others walked in a straight line path. Some maybe stood, looked into it. Some stepped into the booth with a little bit larger booth so they could come step in if they felt and were able to hold it. And then the others would approach me. And the same thing is in a room. If you have people sitting in front of you, and you can sense that too. So I said, some I touch. If I make one person smile, that's enough. If I can make a person feel their heart, that's enough. And with each video, if I can touch one person, I made it.
So it makes me wonder, because of the type of speaking that you do, obviously you're in an entirely different field than I am or whatever. Is how you speak or present different in any way if you're doing a virtual presentation versus an in-person thing?
I'm honing or changing a few things because I want to do more in person, physically. It is, we sense each other stronger. Not that we cannot sense each other and work via Zoom, right? I don't know. I started 20 with Zoom, can't remember 16, right? When Blab went under. And it's the same. We can feel each other, we can sense each other, we are all empathic, we can right? A healer, we learn to heal long distance. So the energy goes through the energy through our eyes. You can pick up, Brett. I can pick up your energy also through virtually or in a room. But I missed the room. I want to touch people, and again, even if it's just with a finger, or I want to see their whole body, because we read each other so strongly. Also, we can see our facial muscles are better. And then there's a hug. I think we have been so alone too much. So I would like to create ways of speaking again, and that vision has been big, right? To sing, to speak, to heal, and maybe not from a stage above, right, where I'm saying, oh, I'm so much better, but maybe in a circle and I'm in the center, or I'm walking through the people. That's what I envision. So that, because we're all so fascinating beings, that we can give each other more. But that's also my message that I want to speak about and bring out into the world. So I live my message.
That's outstanding. So, Mylene, I want to give you a couple minutes to tell people a little bit more about what it is that you do now and how they can get involved in your world if they so choose.
Oh, thank you, Brett. Yeah, I support people in really living, embodying their own knowledge and all the parts within them. So I have a lot of creative people, right? We were so told to concentrate on one thing, but to look at all of them, they need to be in an interplay, and that we are also connected with everything existing, and if it's on Earth or beyond in the cosmos. And once there's a surety about that and a safety of being supported by everything existing, then it's easier to speak out what we desire, to share it with the world. And you'll be creative in finding your unique way in bringing it to other people, and that they resonate with it and feel automatically drawn to it. Yeah. So that's what I help. And it, different ways, if it's through my art or my healings or my speaking. So maybe moving to one as the podcast is a good example to listen to, or a freebie where you learn more to shed your light or radiate out your light under meilinelki.com/freebie.
All right, very good. We'll make sure those both appear in the show notes down below. So, Mylene, I want to thank you so much for joining me today and being your authentic self. And everybody
Thank
out
you.
there, as always, thank you for listening so much. And may this year be your greatest year yet. Take care, everyone.
Oh, it's going to be a good one.
There you go. Take care.
This has been the Spotlight on Speaking show with Brett Ridgway. Be sure to join us every week as we interview speaking industry pros and have them share their best tips for building a profitable speaking business. Until next week, thank you for tuning in, and remember to visit our website at spotlightonspeaking.com so you can enjoy even more great episodes like this one. While you're here, be sure to subscribe via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Spotlight on Speaking show. Until then, our sincere best wishes to you for the greatest of success as you work to build your own profitable speaking business.